Ever feel like life's just one giant obstacle course?
Yeah, definitely.
But what if those hurdles, those challenges we face are actually setting us up for some serious growth?
Right.
We did a deep dive into Rae Stonehouse's Rising Above
Hmm.
to find out how to turn those curveballs into opportunities. And let me tell you, this isn't just some like surface level self-help stuff.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Right away, you can tell this book is different.
Oh, yeah.
Stonehouse, she spent over 30 years as, get this, a psychiatric nurse and a Toastmaster.
Wow.
So she brings some serious real-life experience to the table.
Yeah, she's not messing around.
It's not just theory. It's about how to actually apply these concepts in your own life, you know?
That's so important. And
Yeah.
one of the first things that jumped out at me was this idea that challenges aren't roadblocks.
Uh-huh.
They're more like launch pads.
Totally.
What do you make of that?
Well, it's so easy to just get stuck in that mindset of like, why is this happening to me?
Oh, yeah.
But Stonehouse, she flips the script in chapter 1.
Okay.
She says that within every single challenge, there's an opportunity for us to learn, adapt, and ultimately to become more resilient.
Yeah, really?
It's about changing your perspective. That's all.
I can see how that would be a game changer,
Right.
but it's easier said than done, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
It's not about like pretending challenges are easy or ignoring how hard they can be.
Right.
But if we can just try to shift our thinking to see these things as opportunities for growth, we can start to approach them with a totally different energy.
It's like that saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. But Stonehouse takes it a step further and gives you the tools to actually come out stronger, right?
Exactly. And that's where the concept of a growth mindset comes in, which she really dives into in chapter 2.
Okay, growth mindset.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about growth mindset these days.
I know, right?
What does it actually look like in practice?
So Stonehouse, she talks about it as approaching challenges with this belief that your abilities and intelligence aren't fixed, like they can actually be developed.
Okay.
So instead of seeing setbacks as proof of your limitations, you start to see them as opportunities to learn and grow.
Okay.
It's about embracing the process of learning and becoming a better version of yourself.
So less, I'm terrible at this, and more, I'm not great at this yet.
Exactly. Yes. It's that subtle but really powerful shift in self-talk that can make all the difference.
Okay, so how do we actually start cultivating this growth mindset?
Well, it's not about like magically transforming overnight.
Right.
Stonehouse, she lays out some really practical strategies in chapter 2. One of the most powerful ones is reframing failure.
Reframing failure. Isn't that a bit like putting lipstick on a pig?
Not at all. It's about really shifting your perspective. Instead of viewing failure as like the enemy, you start to see it as an essential part of the learning process.
So instead of like dwelling on the I messed up part,
Yeah.
it's about asking, what can I learn from this?
Exactly. Stonehouse actually has this great line in the book.
Yeah.
She writes, every stumble is an invitation to look closer, to understand where we trip and how to navigate the path ahead more gracefully.
I love that. Okay, so less tripping over the metaphorical rocks and more like learning to navigate around them.
Right.
What are some other ways Stonehouse says we can build up that growth mindset muscle?
Well, one that really resonated with me was this idea of actively seeking out feedback,
Okay.
both positive and constructive. You know,
Oh, yeah.
it's so easy to just get stuck in our own heads and just assume we know best.
Totally.
But getting that outside perspective can be so valuable.
It's like that saying, you can't read the label while you're inside the jar.
Yes, exactly.
Sometimes you need that outside perspective to see things more clearly.
100%. And it's not just about seeking out feedback from people who are just going to agree with you all the time.
Yeah,
Either.
right.
Stonehouse, she actually encourages us to actively seek out diverse perspectives,
Okay.
even if they make us a little uncomfortable.
That's good.
Yeah,
It's about getting out of that echo chamber and challenging our own assumptions.
exactly.
So we're embracing failure as a learning opportunity. We're seeking out diverse feedback.
Mhm.
What else?
Okay, well, this one might seem small, but it can be so powerful. Celebrate your efforts, not just your accomplishments.
Oh, interesting.
It's so easy to just get so caught up in like the end goal.
Yeah.
And we forget to acknowledge all the hard work and dedication it took to get there.
So even if you don't like hit a home run, you're still recognizing the effort it took to just get up to bat in the first place?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, and that actually ties into another one of the book's key themes,
Sure.
building resilience.
Resilience, right?
Stonehouse talks about it as like this ability to bounce back from setbacks, to adapt to change,
Right.
and to keep going even when things are really tough.
So basically, not letting those curveballs knock us out of the game for good.
Precisely. And she really emphasizes that resilience isn't something you either have or you don't.
Okay.
It's a skill you can develop over time.
I like that. It's empowering to think of it that way.
It is.
So how do we actually go about building resilience?
Well, Stonehouse, she dedicates chapters 3 and 4 to practical strategies for developing this really essential skill.
Oh, wow.
One of the most powerful ones she talks about is reframing negative self-talk.
Oh, that inner critic that loves to chime in at the worst possible moment.
Yes, exactly. We all have that voice. But the key is to learn how to challenge those negative thoughts and reframe them into something way more positive and empowering.
So instead of, I'm going to mess this up, it's, okay, this is a challenge, but I'm capable of figuring it out. Something like that.
Yeah, you got it. It's about shifting your mindset from self-doubt to self-belief.
Okay.
And it takes practice. But over time, you can actually rewire your brain to focus on the positive and to embrace challenges with more confidence.
It's like training your brain to be your own personal cheerleader instead of that constant critic in the corner.
Yes, exactly. And another powerful strategy Stonehouse talks about is the importance of seeking support.
Oh.
She really emphasizes that, we don't have to go through these challenges alone.
Yeah, it's easy to isolate yourself when things get tough.
Right.
I know I've definitely been guilty of that.
It's a supernatural human instinct.
Yeah.
But Stonehouse, she encourages us to try to fight that urge and reach out to our support systems instead.
I like that.
She actually breaks down support into 3 main types.
Okay, I'm really interested in this. Yeah.
Can you unpack those a bit more?
Yeah, for sure. So emotional support is what we typically think of when we picture, a shoulder to cry on.
Right.
Those friends, family members, therapists who offer empathy, encouragement.
Yeah.
And a listening ear.
Those people who just get it,
Exactly. Then there's informational support, which is more about getting advice, guidance, or expertise from people who have experience in those areas where we might be struggling.
So that could be like a mentor at work.
Yes.
A financial advisor, or even a friend who's just really good at DIY projects if you're trying to, I don't know, renovate your bathroom for the first time.
Precisely. It's about tapping into the collective wisdom of the people around us.
Yeah, I like it.
And then finally, we have practical support, which is all about that, tangible help.
Okay.
Like that friend who helps you move or brings you a casserole when you're sick or watches your kids so you can actually get some sleep.
Yes.
It's the actions speak louder than words kind of support.
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah.
And what Stonehouse really drives home is that building a strong support network, it's an active process.
What do you mean?
It actually takes effort to nurture those relationships, to communicate what you need,
Right.
and to be willing to also offer support in return.
It's about showing up for others just as much as it is about allowing them to show up for you.
Yes, exactly. And, speaking of showing up for yourself, Stonehouse has a whole chapter on the importance of self-care.
Oh, self-care, right?
Which is something so many people just overlook, especially when they're really in the thick of dealing with a challenge.
Yeah. It's easy to feel like self-care is selfish when you're already feeling super overwhelmed.
Totally.
But Stonehouse argues that it's actually crucial not just for surviving challenges,
Right.
but for thriving in spite of them.
Absolutely. She really emphasizes that self-care, it isn't just about bubble baths and face masks.
Although those can be nice.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
But it's really about taking care of your physical, your mental, and your emotional well-being.
Okay.
So that you actually have the energy and the resilience to keep going when things get tough.
It's about making sure your own oxygen mask is securely fastened before assisting others, right?
100%. Yeah.
So what are some of Stonehouse's top self-care tips?
Well, she covers a ton of ground in chapter 6.
Yeah.
But I'd say some of the key takeaways are, prioritizing sleep, exercise, and a healthy diet. Those real foundational practices that often get neglected when we're stressed out.
Right.
But then she also talks about the importance of setting boundaries, pursuing activities that bring you joy, and cultivating a sense of gratitude.
It's about finding those things that fill your cup and make you feel more like yourself,
Yes. Exactly. And, one of the things I found really helpful was actually the case study in chapter 7.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
Yeah, Stonehouse introduces us to this woman, Rae A.
Yeah.
She's a marketing professional juggling a really demanding job, a family, aging parents.
Oh, wow.
She's feeling totally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But then she discovers the principles that are outlined in Rising Above.
So she's like the poster child for turning challenges into opportunities.
Yeah.
You could say that.
Tell me more about her story. Okay, so Maria, she starts by applying that whole idea of reframing failure, right? Instead of beating herself up for not being able to do it all perfectly, she starts to view her mistakes as opportunities to learn and grow.
Okay.
She also really prioritizes building a strong support network, both at work and at home.
So she's putting all the pieces together.
Yeah, exactly. She finds a mentor at work, leans on her family and friends for emotional support.
Nice.
And she even joins a support group for caregivers.
Oh, wow.
And on top of that, she makes self-care a priority, even though it means sometimes saying no to things and setting some boundaries.
It sounds like she really took the principles from Rising Above and ran with them.
She really did. And the best part is, Stonehouse doesn't just tell us about Maria's transformation. She actually shows us, step by step, how Maria applies the book's advice in her own life.
Right.
You know, it's incredibly practical and relatable.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into Rising Above,
yes,
what are some key takeaways you hope our listener will walk away with?
Well, I think the biggest one is that while challenges are they're an inevitable part of life, you know?
Right.
They don't have to define us.
That's a good point.
We actually have the power to choose how we respond to them.
Okay, I like.
And with the right mindset and the right tools, we can actually use those challenges as fuel for growth.
It's about shifting our perspective from why me to what can I learn from this?
Yes, exactly. 100%. And that journey starts with cultivating a growth mindset, building resilience, and prioritizing both self-care and support.
It sounds like a lot.
It can be, but it's so worth it.
Yeah.
It's like Stonehouse says, it's a journey worth taking.
If you're ready to start turning those challenges into stepping stones, Rising Above by Rae A. Stonehouse is definitely worth checking out. Until next time, keep diving deep and remember, you've got this.